Hey there, welcome back to another review, this time of Buried Alive 2, a 1997 made-for-TV sequel to Buried Alive, the 1990 made-for-TV film that was aired on the USA Network, starring Tim Matheson, um, William Averton, and Jennifer Jason Leigh. Now, this is a film that's directed by Tim Matheson. He reprises his role as Clint Goodman from the first film, and it also stars Ally Sheedy as Laura Riskin, Stephen Caffery as Randy Riskin, Tracey Needham as Roxanne, Brian Libby as Earl the Embalmer, Shawnette Beatty as a gospel singer, Clifton Daniel as Walter, and Tommy Hinckley as Sheriff Jim Puler. And this is also written by Walter Klenhard. It also features the same score. It features music by Michael Columbia, including the same bit of the score that I really like from Buried Alive. It also has cinematography by Jacques Hotkin, which cinematography does look good. It does look good in this film. Before I get into the plot and before I give my final thoughts on the film, I'm not a fan of this one. I really didn't like this. This is a letdown for me. I thought this was actually a pretty awful sequel, to be honest. It doesn't really justify its existence. It's pretty much unnecessary, unneeded. Tim Matheson does an alright job directing, but you can tell he doesn't have that style, that flair that Frank Darabont does. It's just a workman's job, so to speak. It's passable, it's there, but it's nothing impressive. Um, Mainly, what I don't really like about this sequel is, which I'll get into in depth when I go into the plot, is just I don't like some of the parts of the screenplay that the film has. I don't like the way that they handle the plot and the fate of Clint Goodman especially. And I also really don't like how the film just feels like it's just a remake of the first movie. Just switch out Tim Matheson for Ally Sheedy and call it a day. Also, the supporting cast isn't nearly as strong as Buried Alive. Now, the film takes place 10 years later after the events of the first film. Clint Goodman, the man whose wife Joanna and lover Court tried to murder him by giving him a toxin, was buried alive after being mistaken for dead. He woke up in the coffin and exacted revenge on his wife and his lover. Following the first film, Clint has been living a solitary life elsewhere under the name Michael Hayden, while everyone in the original town believes that he is dead. His sheriff friend, Sam Everly, Hoyt Axton, has died, so Clint decides to come back for the funeral. At the funeral, Sam's niece, Laura Riskin, played by Ally Sheedy, who knew Clint a long time ago, notices him, but he leaves before she can approach him. After the funeral, Laura finds out that Sam has bought some stock that is worth $250,000, which he left to her, and the stock was from Walmart, of all places. And Laura wants to use the money to start a family, but her husband Randy, who hates his life in the small town, wants to buy a yacht and leave town for good. So pretty much, it's just like the first movie. Instead of the wife being the problem in the relationship, who wants to get rid of the spouse, get rid of her husband, it's the husband that wants to get rid of the wife. Laura doesn't empathize with him, but unknown to her, he's cheating on her with the local vixen Roxanne. Um, Roxanne's played by Tracey Needham. She's hot, but she can't act. She's a terrible actress. And her character is so annoying in this movie. And the both of them are so fucking obnoxious. Like near the end of the movie, where they're all bitching at each other. Would you just shut up? I'm like, yes, please, shut the fuck up. Both of you, just die already. Stop. You're making my ears bleed. Please, for fuck's sake, shut the fuck up. And then you have, of course, Stephen Caffery plays Randy. Stephen Caffery's a shitty actor. You go from William Averton to this guy. And I don't even know if he did anything. He's like a poor man's Jonathan Silverman. He really is. He's a poor man's Jonathan Silverman. So he wants the bow. He's cheating on her with Roxanne. He tells her that once he finds a way to get away, he'll leave Laura for her. However, she's not patient because she's a total bitch. Randy hears the story of what happened to Clint, decides to do the same thing to Laura with the toxin and everything that comes from the puffer fish. Meanwhile, Laura corners Clint, who tells her to forget him because technically he is a wanted man. Randy comes to Laura, and Laura, thinking he has changed, decides to forgive him. When they go out to dinner late that evening, he gives her the same toxin originally was given to Clint, slipping it into her wine during the dinner. Laura seemingly dies after consuming some of the poisoned wine and going into cardiac arrest. Um, this sequence is really awkward because it doesn't seem like the character Randy is really that sure of his intentions. He puts the poison in there, she starts drinking it, then before she drinks it, she tells him that I bought some tickets for for the Caribbean, and we can spend some time together. And you're right, we should do more as a couple. And he has second thoughts. He's like, oh my God, well, maybe I shouldn't kill her. Maybe I shouldn't be with this bitch Roxanne. Maybe I should actually love my wife, and we'll go on the trip to the Caribbean. And he's like, no, you don't need to drink that wine. He's like, no, is there anything that's, oh, come on, I'm gonna drink the wine, and she drinks it. He's like, come on, drink it. And then he does nothing, and then it's like he's confused. It's like at first he's like, no, don't drink it, and then when she's drinking it, he doesn't do anything. Like he doesn't like take the drink away from her and pour it out or anything. He's like, why'd you do that for? I mean, because before he's saying that it's bad, don't drink it, and then she starts drinking it, and he just lets her drink it. And then, well, make sure you drink all of it. It's bad luck not to drink the whole glass. I'm like, what the hell? Like, what is up with this screenplay by Walter Klinhard? It sounds like it's like the guy's fucking schizophrenic or something, multiple personalities or some shit, or he's just a dumbass. I don't know. So it's like it's trying to make you feel for him, and then no, and then he's gonna trying to make it work, but no, then she supposedly dies. Goes into cardiac arrest. The doctor asks Randy if he wants an autopsy on her. He declines, stating that Laura would be against it. The police do not treat the event as suspicious, as Laura's family has a history of heart failure. While Randy plans Laura's funeral, which he also ends up telling the embalmers to embalm her twice, because he hears the rumors about what happened with Clint, and that's where he got the idea, which he got it from Roxanne, actually. He didn't come up with it on by himself. He got the idea from Roxanne. She's the one that suggested uh, to kill Ally Sheedy, to kill Laura. So, while Randy plans Laura's funeral, Clint reads about her death in the paper, which causes him to have a heart attack. While he's in the hospital recuperating, he asks how Laura's died, but the doctor only tells him that her funeral is being prepared. He wishes to go to a funeral, but the doctor tells him that he won't be able to leave the hospital. And there's a development that goes on with this film that I didn't really like, that wasn't really built up at all in the first movie. That after you survive this poisoning, your body ages and your heart is terrible. And I'm like, yeah, I know. Yeah, after you have one heart attack, you are gonna have a susceptibility for more. But if you stay in good health and you're in good shape, the chances are you're not this is really not gonna happen. But it doesn't really explain. It's like, well, then if it makes your body weak and it makes you worse, then why are you like spry and fresh and good, just as good as new after you get out of the coffin, after you get out of being buried alive and you build a whole brand, and you turn your house into a giant coffin? Like, why is that? How does that happen if the poison messes you up? Is it just one of those for convenience sake for the plot? That's what it sounds like to me. So at the morgue, Laura's about to be embalmed. The machine malfunctions. As a result, the staff does not embalm her twice, despite Randy having previously requested her to be embalmed 2 times. After Laura's funeral, Clint approaches Randy, warning him that Laura may not be dead, with Randy questioning who Clint is, as well as his sanity. After Clint has a nightmare about his escaping, he digs Laura up and believes that she really is dead. And by the way, also made it in a copper coffin this time, so it wasn't the same wooden coffin, so you don't have the same scene where you have to punch through the wood and get out of the get out of the grave. like Clint did. So you believe that she's really dead, then he dies, which I'm like, fuck this sequel. He dies? Like, why did we need to do that? Why did you need to kill off Clint Goodman? Why did you need to kill him off? I don't understand this choice by the writer. I really don't. I don't get it. First off, I think it would be more interesting if he stayed alive and both he and Ally Sheedy teamed up to take on the couple that tried to kill Ally Sheedy. That would have been more interesting to me. That would have twisted, that would have changed things up, and it would have been more of a crowd pleaser. But here you kill off Tim Matheson, and it's unnecessary. It just feels like, well, fuck it, we'll kill him off, and then it's just Ally Sheedy versus the couple, and then it just becomes a lot of deja vu. Well, just the location changed. So Clint dies due to health issues caused by the toxin. Laura wakes up and escapes her grave. She then puts Clint's body in her coffin and fills it up. She then goes home to find Randy and Roxanne in bed together. She plans to use a spear gun on them, but when she hears that Randy wants to have kids with Roxanne, she changes her mind, deciding to plot a better revenge, which is directly pretty much the plot from the first movie. I'm surprised she didn't say in a version of the line, "Oh, that's too easy," like the first film, like Clint did in the first film. Um, Over the next few days, Randy starts to notice things happening around his home, like the place being really clean and his wife's wedding ring lying in the middle of the table. He has his wife's grave exhumed to make sure she's really dead, but instead finds Clint's body. Funeral director investigates, discover that the deceased person was in fact Clint, and when they exhume Clint's grave, they find the skeletal remains of Joanna and Court, along with the money they got from selling Clint's business. Which makes no sense, because in the first film, I don't believe I don't think his grave was where he put them in. He didn't bury them in his grave, if I remember correctly. He buried them in a grave that was fashioned underneath the house that he burnt. Maybe he put the makeshift grave into his grave, I guess, after the fact. But that's I don't remember that scene ever being shown in the first movie where he takes that grave and he puts it in his grave. I never remember seeing that, not one time in Buried Alive. So that's either something the screenwriter pulled out of his ass or something that maybe I didn't notice, but that's not how I understood it. In Buried Alive, what happened was he put his wife in there with William Averton in the makeshift grave that he built up in a really clever way inside the house. Then he lit it on fire, and of course he put the money with them, lit it on fire, and then that was it. It's like they were buried underneath the foundation of the house. That's what I remember. But no, that's not what happened, I guess. It just make no sense. Randy, who knows now that Laura's still alive, decides to leave town and purchase a yacht immediately. As he and Roxanne are packing, they're trapped inside his shed by Laura, who takes their truck and parks it in front of the door. Laura then takes a hose, attaches an exhaust pipe, and puts it through the vent, causing them both to pass out. Not killing them, but to be honest, most of the time, if you put that much carbon monoxide, yeah, you're going to pass out, and you're also going to be dead. It's not going to be one of those like, oh, I just pass out, and that's it. And then I wake up later. It's not knockout gas. It's carbon monoxide. Randy and Roxanne then awake to find themselves in a bedroom with a yacht, a bedroom with a yacht with all the doors and the windows locked. When the yacht leans, he realizes Laura intends to bury them alive at sea. Goes to shut off the valve, but she's broken it off. And he sets off the valve for the toilet. And then in another room, they find a set of funeral clothes and a buoy that says, "Rest in peace, Randy and Roxanne." Laura soon reveals herself and wants to know why Randy tried to kill her. And shortly thereafter, Laura blocks off a vent and the yacht sinks. Of course, before all of that, you have to hear this countless bickering between Stephen Caffery and Tracey Needham. Shut up! It's like, if it was raining brains, you wouldn't get wet. That's one line I don't mind, because it's pretty funny, actually. He's talking about Roxanne. It's like, if it was Roxanne, if it was raining brains, you wouldn't get wet. But the rest of it's just fucking obnoxious and annoying. I'm sorry. Tracey Needham can be as hot and sexy as ever. And to be the sexiest woman alive. But if she has a personality that is just as the equivalent of nails scratching on a chalkboard, it doesn't fucking matter to me how hot she is. Because every time she opens her mouth, it's fucking torture. So they're like, shut up. And I'm like, oh my God. Oh, great. Oh, great. Use the wrong hole. Now it's, now I'm in poop. And I'm like, yeah, this sequel was poop. The sequel is shit. The sequel is terrible. This is such an awful sequel. And then the yacht sinks. Ally Sheedy leaves on a speedboat. In the end of the film, Laura leaves her home and goes to Clint's grave, thanking him for what he's done. She then leaves town with the final shot of Randy and Roxanne screaming after being buried at sea. So they're screaming, and for some reason their boat, even though it's so underneath the water, they're like, ah! And I'm like, shouldn't you already be dead? I don't know. I mean, you're underneath the water. The pressure itself, it was already filling up with water anyway. Yeah, it's like you should already be full of water already, and you're drowned and you're dead. That's it. Period. They should be already drowned, not. I'm just like that, and then that was so corny too. The ending where it zooms in and they're like, ah, I'm like that's exactly how I feel about this sequel. Fuck! Buried Alive 2. Anyway, I really don't know what else to say about this sequel. I really don't, except don't even bother with it. Really, to be honest, I understand that people don't mind this one. That's fine, to each their own. I just can't stand this sequel. I can't stand the couple. I, excuse me. Can't stand talking about this movie either. I guess it fucking makes me want to cough. Um, it's had an itch in my throat there for a sec. But yeah, seriously, I don't like Buried Alive 2. It's an unnecessary sequel. It kills off Clint Goodman. It has an unlikable couple in Roxanne and Randy. Yeah, Randy. Roxanne and Randy are completely unlikable. It doesn't have the nice black humor that Buried Alive did. The only time I laughed was in that silly line, like, if it was rated for 8, you wouldn't get wet. But other than that, it wasn't very fun to watch. It wasn't very funny. It was pretty tedious. It was pretty dull. It was by the numbers. It was predictable for the most part. And yeah, it was a pretty poor sequel, in my opinion. I liked Ally Sheedy though, and the little bits of Tim Matheson was good. But really, that's about it. And I didn't mind. I guess there's a little bit of black humor with the Morticians, but it wasn't that much. It was all right, but nothing really. Just it had this vibe that one of the assistants was like a necrophiliac, which I really didn't think was that necessary. Or really, they tried to make it like, oh, it's kind of funny. No, it's not. Corpse fucking isn't funny. I don't know about you, but that's never funny. I don't watch Necromantic, and I'm like, haha, that's the funniest thing ever. No. But anyway, I really don't know what to say about Buried Alive 2 because this is a rate out of 5 stars. I'm gonna give it 1.5 out of 5 just for Ally Sheedy, Tim Matheson, and a couple sequences. That's really about it. Other than that, it's a pretty awful sequel. Anyway, thank you for watching my review / rant of Buried Alive 2, and I will see you guys later. See ya.